This is, sorry, I'm Rob, I'm from Verso Learning. So you heard all about Versoapp then when Tom was talking. And so basically what we are, we're an education app, and we use a program called Intercom to be able to communicate with our users and just be able to view data about, you know, what browser they're using and things like that. And so essentially what happens is a user logs in, they hit the Intercom server, and then you see a big, ugly table full of data. And no one in our company really likes looking at it, so we decided to build something that looked a little prettier. And this is apparently it. Basically, yeah, what it is Intercom has webhooks. So every time a user signs up, it can shoot off a webhook to another URL, which I've set up here to capture. And that's where we've got these things here, teacher signups, and we can see if someone was actually signing up, these would come through in real time, and then it's just ticking along, letting us know when their last action was. And then we've also got the currently active, which is just basically the server is just pinging the Intercom server and checking a list of users that's pre-set up in Intercom to let us know who's currently active. And this is the perfect time to do this demonstration, because this is the time that all of our users are inactive. They're really active first thing in the morning and at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. So right now is just perfect. Oh, there you go. Someone just popped on and did a thing. But basically, yeah, what we were trying to do is just build something that made the data a little bit more accessible. We could actually see when people were signing up. We could see when people were using the application, and also just be able to view what's been happening the night before, rather than having to go in and the way Intercom works, it just shows you the last seen time. It doesn't give you any historical data. So this is just grabbing a snapshot every 15 minutes that we can then check out. So we can go, all right, what was everyone doing at 15 minutes ago, earlier in the evening, and so on and so forth. And we can start to really have a look at when our users are active, which is really useful, especially for Intercom, which is why I'm surprised they don't have something like this, because it lets you know when's the best time to start messaging your users, sending emails, sending in-app messages and things like that, because that's when they're active. And so, yeah, so it's just something that I honestly knocked together in a month. So that was another real purpose of this talk is, this is the biggest thing I've ever created. I've knocked together some Perl scripts, I've knocked together some MongoDB shell scripts and that. This is a big cohesive thing that I made in Meteor, and the first thing I made in Meteor. So if I can do it, you guys can. And yeah, just the last little thing that I actually added in this afternoon at about 4 o'clock, just before we left, is a little animation. It just plays through that historical data, as I was saying. You can see the time slowly counting up as we move from the latest set of data that I've got. We can watch people start to log in all across the world. We've got someone in Germany, a couple of people in Saudi Arabia. And what's really cool is watching the US come online slowly at around, 10 o'clock our time. They're just slowly pinging in every 15 minutes, just adding a few extra classrooms until we get some really cool numbers that I'm colorblind, so I can't read that, but hopefully you guys can. Yeah, so it just became a really good way for us to start to focus where our users were and really see what's going on in our app. So yeah, basically I didn't want to talk for too long. I really just wanted to, I'm going to be honest, I don't know why this is doing this either. They should not be inside that map. But I just wanted to show you guys that it can be really, really quick and easy to make something in Meteor, even if you've never done anything in Meteor before, or never done anything really big before. Yeah, so just on that, just a few things. I know Tom talked about the Meteor, Discover Meteor, the book, becoming more readily available, and obviously everyone's heard of the Discover Meteor book, but there's heaps of stuff out there that you guys can use to get started. If I can, I have to Google search this one because I didn't bookmark it, but not just the Discover Meteor book, their blog, which is posts from Tom and Sasha, is fantastic. I definitely found at least a few things that I was having issues with throughout the week, especially if you check out tutorials. There's heaps and heaps of stuff in here that was really, really helpful, just running through things. The unofficial Meteor FAQ, there's some great stuff in there. Dave's blog as well, Meteor Capture. All I can say is, Dave, if you could have done Google Maps markers 5 days earlier when I was doing them, would have been really, really helpful. But there's always good to be validated. So there's some great stuff up there. And actually, Gentle Node, I found these guys by chance, and they've just got a really great cheat sheet and some really cool blog posts and tutorials on how to do stuff. So plenty of stuff, and there's no reason for you guys to not be up here, slightly sweaty, and talking about your next great thing. So yeah, that's basically just a quick rundown of what it is. And Stuart's got questions. You shouldn't have any questions. I've been showing you this all week.
I was thinking, it'd be good to hear, I guess, a bit about the process that you went through, from like, I don't know, nothing to how you kind of build it. And
yeah.
also, at what points you found kind of like hurdles or hiccups that kind of challenge you?
Yeah, sure. So, so your question is just where I sort of I ran into hurdles and hiccups and things like that. To be honest, like every time I ran into something, you know, whether it was how the hell does Iron Router work, there was something, whether it's a Stack Overflow question or you know, a blog post or an FAQ somewhere that really walked you through everything so well. Yeah, I just really what it came down to was just sort of sitting down, hacking and cobbling something together to the best of your ability, and then I think I've already rewritten this 3 times, and every time it's just slightly more tight knit, and it's that little bit better. And I started this the day after last meetup, and I've just been working on it in spare time and stuff like that. So yeah, it's actually not on the right page. Everywhere that I ran into a hurdle, every time that I had something that I was having issues with, there was something there that someone else had the same issue, someone else had resolved it if you can't. So yeah, I think the big thing was just sort of how I'm just going to change my display now that so I can actually see what I'm doing. Yeah, like essentially just starting out and just cobbling something together with, you know, a handful of HTML files and a handful of JavaScript files, and then actually getting in and creating a proper folder structure that you guys can barely see there, you know, and really building it out. And one thing that I kind of took for granted, but after speaking to Tom and Dave about webhooks and, you know, using them and stuff, was just how ridiculously easy they are. And if we look in somewhere, That's it. So basically what it is Intercom throws the data to my URL/RESTful, because I'm very informative with my endpoints. And because it's all JSON data, because webhooks pretty much roll with JSON data, and you slap it into a Mongo collection and away you go. So it's the joy of having that JavaScript and being able to work with it sort of everywhere is really, really useful. So, yeah. Did anyone else have any questions? Yeah?
What were your challenges with Google Map markers?
Oh, so the issue with the Google Maps markers was it wasn't too hard getting them on. That was all right. But then I obviously, because I was going through historical data, I wanted to be able to clear markers to load up the next set and things like that. And it was just trying to keep track of markers so that I could pull them out as people were falling off the currently active list. It took me the better part of an evening to figure out that you can't just jam a marker into a Mongo collection, because it throws all sorts of weird errors with lots of underscores and dots in them that you really can't understand until you pull it out and go, oh, that's what the issue was. And so, yeah, essentially, exactly as Dave put into his... actually, I'm not going to bring the code up, but exactly as Dave put into his blog post, I ended up storing them in just a hash array and according to the ID of the user, and then I could reference that marker and clear it as I needed. So, yeah, it actually, once you figured it out, it became quite easy. So, so there was another question, yeah?
What magnitude packages were instrumental?
Oh, yeah, of course. Big up to Dave for his Google Maps package. Let me just... Yeah, so there was a couple that I used. I used Bootstrap, not very well because it doesn't render on anything but a massive screen. LiveStamp was really, really good for getting the created at date to update so that without having to actually fetch a new bit of information, it was updating the timestamp. I've got Font Awesome in there. I didn't end up using that, so I should probably remove that. And Buzz, you guys can't hear it, but it actually goes tingle, 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 and bloop when new ad markers are called. So, yeah, those are the ones that were external from the standard stuff, like Iron Router and HTTP for making GET requests and stuff like that. Oh, and another stumbling block that was really, really annoying is asynchronous JavaScript. Which is really, really hard because essentially it was really, really frustrating because I have the online count is basically making a API call to Intercom, and it was waiting for that to come back, and then it was going, okay, there's another page, go fetch the next page, and it was coming back, and it was going, okay, there's another page, go fetch the next page. And so it took me a while to sort of wrap my head around the asynchronous thing and go, okay, go check how many pages there's going to be and then call all of them and do it asynchronously. And that seems to work really well. So whether that's the right way to do it or not, it works. Any other questions? Yep.
Well, so this database that you're listening to, is it the live database or is it like a copy of the live?
Essentially, it's a copy of the live database. So I'm just grabbing the information that I need from Intercom and putting that into a Mongo collection that I can then read from and make changes to as I need to. So because Intercom doesn't run with Mongo, there's no way that I can really connect up to it properly. So yeah.
Is there any problems with their database updating in Mongo?
Yes, there is. I didn't draw attention to the active users past 24 hours. That was, as far as I was concerned, updating in real time as new users were jumping on. But that was because I was jumping on their UI and checking the segment, which updates the count. which they actually only do every 24 hours. So I found that out this morning. So yeah, but that was the biggest hurdle with them, and sometimes the stuff you just can't do anything about. Yeah. Yep.
Do you start with this for the hospital or like when you need to write
No, I did not. Yeah, so when you start out, you've just got a HTML and a JavaScript file, and I added some more HTML files and some more JavaScript files and just kind of cobbled stuff together. That is what I've got now is pretty much in line with what's on the Meteor docs when they talk about folder structure and loading and stuff, which definitely go and check out because it really goes into detail about which order things are coming through in, and sometimes you might be stuck in an old naming convention that's actually causing things to come through slower and things like that. So yeah, definitely worth checking out if you're new to Meteor. Cool. Anyone else?
Is it listening all sorts of actions or specific actions?
It's just checking for any action. Basically, Intercom updates whenever someone does something on the server. So if I actually just gonna jump in. Actually, no, it's really slow on my phone because my phone has rubbish internet. So if I jump into Verso, and my test data is about as good as Tom's, and we can see that within a few... Oh, hey, and there we go. We've got Stu's just come through 13 minutes ago. Hello, Rob. Hi. I didn't notice that. Thank you, Stu. But actually, yeah, so you can see from Stuart's 13 minutes ago, all of these are people that have logged in while we've been watching it. So, yeah. Fantastic. All right. Any other questions? Cool. All right.